in the spotlight, I am hidden, reaching out for your hands. Can you feel me now? Trying to give a sign that I'm right here.
Hi, I'm Maris Laughlin. This year, thousands of ATVs, dirt bikes, and three-wheelers will be abused and destroyed. But with your help, we can save a machine like this Banshee, Deborah. With help from generous donors such as you, and 33 cents a day, you can save machines just like this. Contributing ensures that machines like Deborah get proper maintenance and fed the correct fluids for her diet. You'll also get this limited edition ASPCA t-shirt letting everyone know that you contributed to save a machine's life. Along with your t-shirt, every month we'll send you a picture of the machine that you saved with their new owner. Deborah was lucky, but call now before it's too late for other machines like Deborah. We look forward to hearing from you and receiving your generous contributions.
But the way that you know me is not right, not right.
Well guys, we did it. We've got everything ready to go here, man. It's been a brutal series, dude. It's been a long one and probably the worst condition of any machine that I've ever received in my whole entire life. That's right, guys. If you have not seen the beginning of this series, I really encourage you to go back and check it out because you can't get an appreciation for how nice this stuff is until you see the way that it was when we got it. My gosh, it was so bad. I see a lot of comments of why is it called the ASPCA Raptor? What is ASPCA? So I'll just put this right at the beginning of this video. ASPCA is an association that saves homeless animals and gives them shelter and a home and everything. So I figured it was the perfect name for this series because literally nobody wanted this Raptor. It was given to somebody and they didn't want it either. They gave it to me. So it was like bouncing around. Everybody's like, I take this damn thing. It was literally sinking into the earth, sitting next to a shed when I received it. It was just pitiful, man. There was rot in the frame. I've never received a quad so bad, but we saved it and we're ready to put it together. So enough talk, guys. Come on over here. Let me show you these parts. Now we've literally got like every single piece of this machine out laid on the driveway. If you're wondering, it took about an hour to get it out here. And then I thought it was going to rain for a second. I got a little scary. So I'm just going to give you a little overview. Check out the engine, man. The engine came out amazing. I'm really, really happy with this. All the Cerakote and powder coat is done by Bonehead Performance. And man, well, it looks super clean. There will be a full build video coming out soon. Super happy with that. It's gonna look awesome with the silver Cerakoted header, the Lex exhaust. And we've got our graphics up front. I had to actually tape them to the ground because it decided to get windy here. Didn't want them blowing away. Got all our motor mounts, fan, got our A-arms and everything. Those are from Full Flight Racing, custom long travel. Got the YFZ 450R front shocks, rebuilt by Rocket Ron. And here's our frame that was totally butched, man. I can't believe that it looks the way it does. It's come such a long way. We've got our grab bar, fender supports, our seat with the moto seat cover, tank, swing arm, all new bearings are in everything. All the difficult work has been done. There's our custom nose piece, radiator lines, got Raptor 700 headlights, Meyer tank cover, the original plastics, believe it or not. I think they're still gonna look really good. We've got our bead locks with our Kenda Havocs. Can't wait to try those out. These things look freaking awesome. Well, I appreciate you guys coming in early today and straightening up because we got a lot of work to do. Ever since I got this scissor stand, I've been experimenting with the last few builds on what my favorite way of, assembling a machine is. And I think I've come to the conclusion that my favorite way is putting the engine in first. And I like doing that for two reasons. For one, it gets a nice weight in the middle because when the machine's really light, like you can tie this to the stand and that does help a little bit, but when it's light, things just want to move around. So getting the engine in there helps out with that. And the other thing is once you start getting the Nerf bars and stuff like that on, it can be really difficult to kind of like get the engine in there. This way, it's really easy to get to, especially with a heavy engine like the Raptor 660. All right, let's see if we can do this without getting hurt. And this thing is freaking heavier than shit. No, I'm just kidding. It's super light. Oh, can we do it without scratching the frame, though?
Not bad, not bad. Now the one thing that sucks about doing this on the stand is that you lose the ability to put a jack underneath the engine and kind of manipulate where it sits to get your motor mounts and stuff in. And with a super heavy engine like this, that could actually create a problem. So I'm gonna get the swing arm bolt through. This will be coming back out when we actually put the swing arm in, but this is just gonna help us get everything lined up. All right, we're off to a good start here. All right, now we've got this top motor mount that goes here. If I can get this top motor mount in place, then we'll be hanging and we'll be good in the back as well. And then I'll be able to get those lower motor mounts in. And I can take the towel out and this will actually, hopefully be pretty easy. We'll see. All of this hardware is stainless steel. It gets a little bit of anti-seize on it. Or it can actually gall. All right, now we should be able to lift this engine up and get this top motor mount lined up. Oh, I forgot a washer. Damn it. All right, now that we're hanging, we should be able to pull out our towel here. And actually pretty much good to go. That was really easy. All right, now we can put these lower motor mounts in place. Put anti-seize on all of these because stuck motor mounts are the worst. And motor mounts are one of those things where I don't tighten any of them down until they're all in place. So for now, these are all just loose. Now while we're in this area, I just want to take care of the swing arm and then the motor will be entirely mounted up. Now before we put the swing arm on, I don't know if you guys remember, but these threads are really jimmied up. The adjustment holes, this is where the adjusters go for your carrier and your chain. And this is aluminum and there's steel bolts that go in there and they had oxidized really bad. It actually really messed up the threads. Now, I was actually able to save them. And I got some brand new adjustment bolts back here and they thread in just fine. However, like I said, the aluminum swing arm and the steel bolt, that's prone to oxidizing. So I think this is actually a faulty design from Yamaha, and I'd really prefer to have steel threads in here so we're steel on steel. And since I've been so big on this helicoil kit, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna helicoil it. I think that will be a better design and it will prevent oxidation in the future. Now it is gonna be tight here, but I think with this 90-degree drill, I can just barely get that in there nice and straight. So we'll give it a shot. My chuck's a little bit loose there. All right, I got my cutting wax on there. We're gonna do the ever controversial speed tapping in the drill. This chuck really does not get tight enough. I need to fix that right now. We're on our way though, it looks good. I'm gonna put a little bit of red Loctite on these so they don't spin on me once they're in there. This whole area has just been kind of awkward because there's really not much space. I don't even know if I could have used the traditional method of, or with tapping it by hand rather than with the drill. I know a lot of people give me crap for that, but it always gets the job done for me. All right, right about there. That should be good. I'll just knock off that barb. And this one should be good. Oh yeah, nice and smooth. That should be better than OEM. All right, let's get the swing arm and linkage on so that the engine is completely in place. All these bolts, I like to either anti-seize or grease them. And I use a little bit of blue Loctite on the bolts as well. All right, we got our swing arm bolt ready. Got plenty of anti-seize on there. Get our DRW chain slider in place. And the Raptor 660's got some stuff in here. There's little spacers that go on either side of the engine up here. We've got all new bearings in our swing arm. And I'm gonna throw the rear shock in place since we're back here. This is a custom dual rate spring built by Rocket Ron Suspension. This bolt was a bitch to get off, man. This is the one I had to cut off. Everything was seized, the collar was seized on there. And normally you don't tighten down suspension components until there's weight on the machine. But this bolt is inaccessible once everything is set up. So I'm just gonna tighten it now. And we'll just roll this. Get it inside. That actually wasn't too bad. I would say we got arguably the two worst pieces done. I would say the engine and the swing armor, they're probably my least favorite to do. And the rear shock goes right up there with it, just because a lot of times the bottom bolt is just a pain in the ass, kind of like this one. It's like totally concealed way up underneath. So sometimes it's just a pain in the ass to get to. Engine, you know, that's just gonna be difficult. But we did a damn good job. And before we move on though, I just wanna show you guys how I have all my stuff laid out, man. Organization. Got just kind of lay everything out, you know, as nice as possible. Got my wheels and tires and stuff here. Things over here. Probably the nastiest thing is the wire harness, man. That thing, I really haven't even touched that. I may even go ahead and do that as soon as I'm done here and just wire that up. I'll do that on my own because that's boring. But then I have all this stuff laid out. I've got all my bolts and stuff ready to go. These are all of the bolts that came off of the quad. I refinish all of my parts. I put them in a tumbler. It cleans all the rust and dirt and stuff off. And then I just coat the tops with a black, it's a spray paint. And it holds up really well. I just make sure they're really clean, degreased and all. It works really well. And I've got my Alloy Works. Wait, is it Alloy Works? Alloy Bolts. My Alloy Bolts kit. I've got them all in here. This makes it really easy to find what I'm looking for. You can see chain tensioner, handlebar, A-arms, rear subframe. It's got all of them in there. I keep them in the box, keep it nice and organized. All our hose clamps are in here. We've got our jets there. These are for our A-arms, all of our ball joints and everything, tie rod ends. And this is all the OEM parts that we need, all kinds of rubber grommets and shit like that. And then we got, this is for the plastics and stuff. If you guys remember, I kind of had the ATV together a little bit, and when I took everything apart, I just put all those bolts right there. Got our Armosi stuff, our graphics, radiator hoses, battery. Like I said, I like to try to keep everything nice and organized. Down here, I have some extra parts in this box, the muffler, and it just makes things go a lot easier when you're nice and organized. And before we go any further, populating things on this frame, I want to go ahead and put the steering stem bearing in place. If you guys look in here, you can see it's pretty shiny in there. I went in there and cleaned it up with a Scotch-Brite wheel and a little tiny wire wheel, because when you get stuff back from powder coat, it can kind of be like a little rough and messy, and sometimes bearings and seals, they don't want to go in so easy. So I've got them in the freezer. Let's go ahead and pop them in place right now. Whew, alrighty, fresh from the freezer. I'm gonna put a little bit of anti-seize in here because these things, they get stuck. The one that was in here was stuck really bad, actually. This was in horrible condition. And the freezer will contract the bearing a little bit. These usually don't give too much resistance, or I'd heat up the frame as well. And wow, see, that literally just slid into place. And then there's this special nut, my special nut, that will, it's like an inside out nut. This is gonna, oh wait, actually it goes this way. It's got like a little bit of a shelf on there. The shelf faces downward. Presses against the outer race of the bearing. We'll just thread this in. This thing was freaking thrashed, man. There was absolutely no bearing in this thing when I got it. The inner race was completely blown out, and none of the balls were in there. It's pretty bad. Then we're actually gonna take a nut and use that to spin this. And it doesn't need to be super tight. Just snug that down. And then we've got a seal on top as well as on bottom. I've already packed the inner lip, and I put grease on the outside too. I just like to do that, just like with the anti-seize, just to prevent these things from getting stuck in here, because you never know how long it's going to be in here until the next person takes it out, and this just helps with teardown. And I'll do the same down here. All right, check it out, man. I figure now is as good a time as any to address this wire harness. It's a little raunchy, man. If you look at some of these wires, they're not in good shape. Like this one here, these look like burn victims, man. I don't know what happened. There's lots of exposed wires. It needs some addressing. The contacts are really dirty. You guys got to remember, this machine hasn't run in, we don't even really know how long. The guy I got it from never heard it run, and he bought it from somebody. I don't think they ever heard it run either. So it's had multiple ownership without a problem being solved. A lot of this stuff could be wire harness related, but it's just ugly. Everything's electrical taped up. I don't know if they're like that from the factory or not, but I'm gonna clean up everything as best as I can. We've got a Procom ECU on here. Hopefully that works. Some interesting wiring. Somebody definitely cut and spliced that. I'm not sure why. Whew. It's just, it's going to be a mess, man, but we'll fix it up. We'll make it good, and we will make it run right. So, wish me luck, guys. It's 1 a.m., and I'm going to put on the tunes and get to wiring. Wires, wires, wires. You wire all day long and your head hurts like shit, right? Isn't that how the saying goes? Yeah, I don't really know either. But I did clean the wire harness up quite a bit. It's I just basically cleaned the whole thing, laid everything out. I've got these wires over here, believe it or not, in the interest of keeping things organized. There were just so many little wires like hooked into this. There's more wires over here. These are wires that we're not going to be using. And then I wired up our custom tail light to accept the OEM connector. All these little green tabs on here too. I've labeled all of these things because this is kind of a complex wire harness. For a four-wheeler, it is. There's a lot of stuff going on here. I mean, look at all these connectors in the middle, and then you've got all these connectors at the end. More connectors here, a bunch of connectors dangling out the side here, and then a ton of connectors up here. It can be kind of confusing if you don't know where everything goes. So my next task is going to be getting the actual wires on the frame. So luckily, we've got a pretty good wire diagram here that helped me figure out the wire harness, and now I've got a cable routing diagram. This is from the OEM service manual. I just printed it out because I have it on the computer, but it's a lot easier to have it right here in front of me. But this shows you how all the cables route through the frame and all, which is really, really nice. So I don't have to do any guesswork. So that's what I'm gonna do. Start just kind of loosely laying everything on here. And I'm also gonna do the oil lines, get those in place because it's all more like cable routing stuff, which is kind of a pain in the butt. I'd like to get that all knocked out. I might even get the radiator on there, put the radiator hoses and like the thermostat and just like some weird stuff like that that's on the Raptor 660. I just wanna get it done and get it out of the way. This is like the stuff that's really tedious and it's really annoying to do, honestly, especially on an unknown machine that you've never done before, but that's why I'm here, guys. I'm gonna do it for you. All right, it's coming together pretty nicely. Slow, very slow. But you know, when you're working on a basket case like this, and I guess this wasn't really a basket case because it was all together, but it kind of was a basket case because we don't know the history of this thing, and it was assembled in a really not good way. A lot of mistakes were made by the previous owner, as we could tell when we took it apart. So what happens is when you have a basket case like this, you're putting it together and you find things that you're missing along the way or little things that need to be fixed. I'm pretty good with, you know, going over everything in the beginning and getting all the pieces that I need. But, you know, there's stuff that I've missed and I just kind of been slowly knocking things out one by one. Things like special bolts that are missing. And honestly, I've just been spending a lot of time looking at the service manual and observing pictures online to try to make sure that this wire harness is in the right OEM location. I'm really big on that stuff. And I want to make sure all the cable routing is perfect. It's not as easy as it looks. So if you've ever built a bike, you know, it can be time consuming, man. But it's all worth it in the end. It really is. When everything's really nice and easy to get to and no twisted wires, it's just nice and then you don't have problems down the road. Anyways, I was getting to the reverse lever right here and I wanted to show you because this is kind of a common issue with the Raptor 660 and also the 700, I believe. This is the reverse switch right here and our switch has seen better days. At first glance, if you're not familiar with Raptors, you might not know, but there's actually a piece that's broken off here. And it looks like somebody tried to glue it back on at some point in time. So I actually have a fix kit for these. This is a really common thing. So we're gonna go ahead and fix this. All right, now the reverse switch mounts on this fender bracket. So let me put the fender bracket in place. We'll do both sides, might as well. All right, so the reverse switch mounts right about here. And you spin this and that'll take the reverse lockout off so that you can put it into reverse. But what happens is there's a plastic bracket on here. I don't know if I think it goes this way right here. And it snaps off. It's really not strong enough. So there's a fix for it though. We've got this steel plate here. We're gonna bolt this on the bottom. We're gonna have to work around this a little bit. I'll show you. So normally when you use these fix kits, you bolt these on, I believe it goes this way, and then you attach the broken piece of plastic on here as well. And the whole thing gets bolted together and the stainless plate or aluminum plate, whatever kind you get, is what holds everything together. So I don't really think we need the extra plastic piece. Really, the only thing that it's used for, or you would need it for, is this little stay that goes up here. It would kind of act as a spacer. Now, luckily, I've got
these plastic spacers here in different sizes. And I've probably got one that's just about the same width as the original plastic piece. That one right there looks pretty good. This is like one of those things, it's like, oh, how to fix a broken Raptor reverse switch. Just use one of these things. But who the hell has these laying around? But I do. So let's go ahead, we'll take these screws out. It came with new, hopefully stainless hardware. Really, really easy fix. And then we'll see if our little spacer works as well. All right, and this plate literally just goes right over top. And then you thread your longer screws in. For the longest time, these things were breaking on the 660, the 700. I don't know if it's on the Raptor 350. And Yamaha just did not change the design. I think they've changed it now, hopefully. But this really is such an easy fix. It's like $7 for one of these plates. There's a million aftermarket companies that make them. All right, let's see if our semi-custom, how the f does this go? Does it go inside, I guess? Put a shorter bolt in the bottom. Damn it. The f did that go? These aren't even in the right goddamn size. All right, let's try this again with the correct size. And we'll put our plastic bushing in here. See if it's gonna work for us. It better work for us, or I'm gonna get mad. All right, that was super easy. Nothing worth getting upset over, right? All right, now we'll just kindly route this cable as the service manual recommends. Kindly. Get that in there. And then take the slack out of it. And there's a cable adjustment up top. All right, now that the reverse switch is out of the way, I can go ahead, get the lower oil line on. I guess since we're doing the oil lines, might as well put the oil tank in here. Oh, you gotta be shitting me. Oh, thank God. For a second there, I was like, does this have to go in before the engine? It's about to have a conniption. If you're familiar with Raptors, this is an oversized oil tank. These are actually pretty hard to come by. I found it used on eBay and had to clean it up. I'm gonna put anti-seize up here on these threads because this was actually completely stripped off on the old oil tank. That's why I had to get the new one in the first place. What the hell's going on here? They got some f***ed up thread action going on. That's what happens when you buy used parts. Guess I'm gonna have to run a tap and die on both of these. I have a feeling it's the other piece that's messed up though, because that was all stripped out from the old tank. Yeah, these ones are okay. If I can do this by hand. They're not cherry, but this will clean them up at least. Oh yeah, there we go. That one is good. No doubt this is our culprit. Well, there's no doubt this is the side that was messing everything up. All right, let's give this another go here. Should go right on now. There we go. All right, now we just hook up this lower oil line. And if you're looking at this line and you're a Raptor guy and you're like, man, that oil line just looks a little bit weird. Well, that's because it is. Because the last person to take this off, or whoever took it off at some point in time, instead of pulling the clamp off and taking the line off, they just lopped it off with like a pair of dikes or something. Just, well, you know. All right, now the Raptor's got some wires in the harness that go up to the controls. So I'm gonna go ahead, put our steering stem in place. We got our Alba, I believe it's a +1 or a +2 steering stem. Maybe it's a +1.5, I don't know. Oh, we got some bent frameage. Some bent frameage going on. You can see the steering stem. It just barely clears that oil tank. That didn't really concern me because it's an aftermarket tank, you know. Stuff like that usually has a really tight fit, but it looks like this is tilted back. You know, I think this should be parallel with the steering stem. I think it needs to come forward like, I don't know, like 1/4 of an inch. But that's okay. You know, here at ASPCA Garage, you know, we can handle bent frameage. We actually love bent frameage. It's one of my favorite things to find on a four-wheeler. This seems to be a common spot that gets bends on quads. Man, it's in there pretty good, huh? I guess it rolled at some point in time, and I couldn't see it before with the OEM stem. I wasn't really sure if that was bent back or not, but looking at it now, I can kind of see it. A little unfortunate at this stage of the game with things so nice. I want to try to do this without doing any damage to our cosmetic stuff. I do not recommend doing this at home. But seriously, it would have been nice if we had figured this out before we got the engine in there, because it's kind of in the way. Ideally, you would want this jack to be on a perfect angle with this cross brace, but I think this will work. It's not ideal, but we're going to be basically pressing against the subframe in the back here. We have a nice crossbar. It's a nice thick piece of steel, and it's reinforced back here, so I don't think we'll have an issue with that. Resting across this little, I guess, like seat brace where the seat sits. And we got a nice straight shot. Unfortunately, I didn't have a 2x4 that was the complete length, but this should be okay. I'm gonna put a strap around here just so this board doesn't pop up like this when we put pressure on it. But I think this will work as long as it doesn't make this pipe bend here, which it might, because we have two pieces of steel that need to be bent essentially. I can always put a cross brace on there and see if that helps out. I'm just gonna give it a shot and we'll see what happens. All right, let's see what happens here. It's definitely working. Amazingly, this is staying straight. Now the question is, will it stay straight when we take the pressure off of the jack? I'm sure it'll come back a little bit. Oh well, a bit. All right, you guys think that made an improvement? I just don't know. Oh, it definitely did. No doubt. You can see there's actually a gap now. And before there was actually pressure on the steering stem, you could feel the resistance. Now it's nice and smooth. We could probably rock it the way that it is right now. If we put our bushing in place, we're actually good. There's clearance down between the oil tank too. I think I'm gonna hit it just a little bit more though. Just a tad. And see if we can get that perfectly perpendicular with the, or not perpendicular, parallel with the steering stem, because it's just on a little bit of an angle. We can probably straighten that just a little bit more. That right there looks pretty good. Oh yeah, look at that. There's that extra 1/4 inch we needed. That's what she said. And I'm gonna put my steering clamp in place for now. These are just gonna be in place because I either misplaced the new seals or I forgot to order them. So I'll just put them in place for now, and when those come in the mail, I'll put the new seals in. All right, let's put our handlebars on so we can route all those cables. Just putting a little bit of anti-seize in our stem because sometimes these little spacers will get stuck, just seized from being in there over time. Like these little cones, just kind of pop in place like that. And we've got our actual clamps and the adapter. These can be staggered to run in a forward position, or you can make them come back a little bit. So they're like semi-adjustable. I like to run them in the forward position. I think that kind of pulls you up on the bike a little bit more. Then we've got another spacer on the bottom, a washer, and a lock nut. Really easy to install. Now the old school anti-vibes, I used to go to 18 foot-pounds, but that was because there was a rubber bushing in there. So since these are solid, I'm gonna go to 25. These are actually the bars that were on the OG Banshee. Like they came with the machine when I bought it. They were good bars, man. They were straight. We upgraded to some high bend bars on that build, so these are still great bars. It would kind of be cool to have some OG Banshee heritage in the ASPCA Raptor. 2 machines that were saved. Rubber bushings, just kind of slide into place. And we've got the inside clamps. These go and push right into our grooves. We've got our top pieces. These all just kind of press together. It's a pretty clean design. Then we've got this tool that clips in the middle, and that's going to make sure that we have the right spacing in between our clamps for when we bolt it down. And it also has a little window in the top so you can look at your adjustment marks. Unfortunately, these bars don't have any adjustment marks, or they've been powder coated over. So we're just gonna have to eye it up. And I'm gonna tighten these to 14.5 foot-pounds. All right, those are good to go. These are great bar clamps, man. You can take the tool out there. Ever since I tried these, I've been putting them on every machine. Yes, Hermosi is a sponsor of this build, but I truly do believe in this product. I think it's great for arm pump and just longevity. If you're riding all day long, they make it so that you're not sore at the end of the day, or less sore anyways. They definitely do work. While we're on the bar clamps, I kind of wanted to explain a little bit, because I saw in the comments of another Hermosi bar clamp install, and somebody was like, dude, you've got rubber bushings that are holding this in place. Couldn't you get like water in there or grease or something and make the bar spin? Well, the design, on the inside, if you look, they're actually clamped directly to the bar. So it's kind of an illusion by having that rubber on the outside right there, but they are clamped directly to the bar, and then they're floating inside this with this rubber bushing, and that's what gives these a little bit of play and forgiveness, which is what saves your shoulders, but they won't slip out of place because of this inner clamp being bolted directly to the bar. All right, let's get some grips on here. These are just basic Tusk ATV grips. They're only $5. I wanted to try them out. Nice basic full waffle. We're gonna use the spray paint method. So just gonna take a little bit of clear spray paint, spray it on the bars, and then spray a little bit right in my grip. You really don't need much. This it acts as a lubricant, makes it so it slides on real easy. And then once it dries, it's a really good grip glue. And I'm super stoked because I found the seals for this upper steering stem mount, so I don't have to wait till tomorrow for the other ones to come in the mail. All right, let's get our Hermosi thumb throttle on here. This thing's gonna look great. Here's another prime example of a missing piece that slows the operation down. So here's the end of our throttle cable, and we need it to go into this circular portion, so that's not gonna work. There's an adapter that goes in there. Super cheap part. You can get them for like 50 cents, but without the adapter, I can't hook the throttle cable up. So luckily they use those on a lot of like lawnmowers and stuff. So that's actually where I'm gonna go. I'm gonna hit up a lawnmower store and maybe the local hardware. I don't know, a fairly common part, but like I'm just not exactly sure where I could go to get one of those right now. I guess it's time to take a break for the gym, and on the way to the gym is a lawnmower store. See if I can pick one up. Well, I just got back, and they didn't have it at the hardware store, they didn't have it at the lawnmower store, and they didn't even have it at my local dealer. So I'm just gonna make one. So luckily, I have this little clevis for a brake clevis. It's like a little pin, and it's just the right size to fit in here. So I'm just gonna cut this down, and we'll just make one. I don't think this really needs to be like ultra precise. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do this all by hand. Now I'm only gonna go in with this one about halfway. I measured the depth that this thing needs to be. It's about 6 millimeters. All right, now I just need to cut a slot for the cable. All right, man, and there it is. Looks pretty good to me. I mean, there's the OEM piece. Pretty much the same thing. The only thing is I came in from the side instead of the top for the slot. For the real test, though, will it work in the carburetor? We're about to find out. Almost like it was made for it. In fact, it was. Oh, there we go. Honestly, looks like it's pretty OEM. Pretty happy with that. So now instead of waiting 2 days for a part to come in, made a piece in 2 minutes. All right, let's get these carburetors on. We'll run our drain hoses underneath the starter. The whole reason that I got the throttle cable in there is because we've got the throttle cable and the clutch cable on here. So we've kind of got to put this in place to get our cables routed. There we go. They popped in those boots real nice and easy. I do put dielectric grease on the inside of these boots. That kind of gives them a little bit better life, and it helps the carburetors pop in and out a little bit easier. All right, now we can run our cable up top. I have to run this a little bit differently than the manual suggests because with these Hermosi bar clamps and the extended steering stem, we have the throttle's a little bit further away than it normally would be. So this is a stock cable. It's just a little bit too short, but if you run it and behind this frame, the frame rod right here, it fits really nicely. There's plenty of slack in it now. Before, it wanted me to go around, and it was just a little too far for it. These Hermosi thumb throttles are awesome, man. They've actually got little roller bearings in them, one in the top and one in the bottom, and it makes for super tight and smooth throttle action. You do have to grease them, though. You know, normally with a thumb throttle, you wouldn't have bearings. So you got to take that into consideration if you put one of these on. It's got little bearings and little dust seals too. Now these are Hermosi thumb throttles. If you haven't seen them before, they're completely adjustable up and down. Then you can really put them wherever you want. You've got 4 set screws that are gonna lock it in place. You gotta Loctite them though, because they will come loose. I've never had one of these come loose as long as you have Loctite on it. And then these set screws, right now I'm just gonna snug them down, but I'll probably come back later when I can actually sit on the machine and I'll adjust it to where I want. With most throttle cables, you can adjust the slack from 2 different locations. There's this one spot down here on the lower cable, then you have the cable up at the bar. And usually I like to start at the bottom because this is easily accessible. You can do that when you're riding. Even though on this Raptor 660 right here on the side, this is really accessible as well. But I'll start down here and just take a little bit of slack from there, and then I'll get the rest out up here. There we go, man, almost no play at all. Some people like to have a little bit of slack in their throttle. I like them really sensitive, nice and snappy. Man, that feels really, really good. You can see I've even put a little bit of grease in here on the end of the throttle. It makes it roll inside the lever really nice and easy. Dude, oh, this feels great. Never thought I'd be getting so excited over a thumb throttle. Actually, maybe I could see that happening. I've always been into quads and motorsports. Really, ever since I knew they existed. We're going with the blackout package. This is a brand new brake reservoir, master cylinder, and lever from Rocky Mountain ATV. These are very inexpensive, very universal. I think it was like 15 bucks. The one that was on the ASPCA Raptor was just trashed and probably could be cleaned up and rebuilt, but for 15 bucks, I wanted to try these. I've used aftermarket rear master cylinders, which we'll be using on this as well, and I've had really good luck with them. They work really well. They can make good pressure and stuff. So it's cheaper than a rebuild kit in most cases. So we'll give the front master cylinder a shot too. And then these being universal, I guess this is if you have like a motorcycle or something, they've got a thing for a side view mirror. So that's just gonna be a thing that fills up with water because we're never gonna use it. So I'm gonna fill it with Yamaha Bond. Now we've got even more cables on the other side. We've got our start switch, light switches, and we've also got the choke lever and another inexpensive lever for this side. These are nice levers though. I've run these before. These Pro Taper levers, they're like 30 bucks and they really do a good job. I am the cable master. I'm the cable guy, Jim Carrey. But yeah, check this out, man. It's been a couple hours of routing cables and finding more issues with the wire harness and just fixing everything. Got my brake lines, these nice stainless steel brake lines, all set up, ready for the A-arms. All these are nice and set up, nice and zip tied. I put the hour meter in the bar pad, cut out a little slot for that, and it's running down here to the coil right here, all nice and neat. Nothing binds, everything is nice and smooth. That's the brake lines whacking around over there. And then I ran the wire harness all through here and along the frame. I had to put the back plastics on because they actually run into this box back here. I already checked for airbox clearance, made sure everything was good. The only thing is, this needs to come back like 2 inches, and I have the slack, unfortunately, all the way up here. So I'm gonna have to undo all these zip ties and move everything back. It's almost 2 a.m. right now, and I'm beat, man. So I'm gonna pack it in for the night, and tomorrow in the morning, I'll fix that wire harness, and we can move on to getting the exhaust and stuff on there, throw some oil in it, and we're pretty much about ready to do the first start. Man, I know I already said it, but I gotta say it again. There is so much cable routing on this machine. But I will say, now that it's coming together, I kind of like really appreciate it just because it's so complex and there's so many cool little hoses, like this one that comes out of the coolant reservoir. It kind of swings around the back, goes up underneath the frame and under the rail right there. There's just so many little wires. I think I'm just so used to my two strokes that this seems excessive, but I mean, there's a lot of like little technology on these machines that you just don't realize until you start putting it together and all. Here's another breather hose that goes to the fan. So if you're submerging this thing, you don't get water in the fan. It runs up and over the top. And then behind here, and as far as I know, I've got everything pretty much in the OEM locations. It's pretty cool how it's coming together, like everything fits. There were some of the wires I discovered, like this negative ground wire, somebody replaced that and it wouldn't even reach the battery. So I don't know if this ever ran in the configuration that I received it in, or if it was like jury rigged up to run or whatever, but all that stuff I had to fix and make it work. So there's been a lot of like little stuff, and I just noticed something right now. So I was getting ready to put the radiator hoses on, and there's a thermostat that goes in place. Now, when I received this machine, the thermostat wasn't even on it. I don't even think it came with one. I had to get this off of eBay and clean it up, and I wasn't sure where it went because I didn't pull one off. So I discovered it goes right up under here, and you can see that spout right there comes up to the radiator, and then on the other side, this one right here goes right here to the head. So I'm thinking about this and I'm like, this thing, there's no way it just floats around back here, and it has a hole. I checked the schematic online. There is a bolt that goes through here, but there's nothing back here. And as I was putting the frame together, I'm looking at this tab. There's no holes in it or anything. This tab back here. And I was like, what the heck is that for? Well, I figured, jeez. Well, after looking at pictures online, I did figure it out. There's a tab that's supposed to be right here. And this goes up in here and kind of mounts like that. Well, I guess it either broke off or it was ripped off. So that's no problem. What I'm gonna do is bolt a bracket on there. If I had seen this before I got the frame powder coated, I'd weld the tab on there and put a nice threaded bolt on there, or threaded nut rather. But since we can't do that, we don't want to ruin our powder coated finish, we'll go ahead and take the radiator off, and I've got a fix for it. All right, so here is our abandoned tab right here that was ripped off at some point in time. And I've got these little steel tabs that are pre-cut. It doesn't really need to be very strong, but this should be plenty strong for it. We'll just put this in place right here. I'll butt it right up against this so that even with one bolt hole in there, it won't be spinning like this. As long as it's up nice and tight against this, it shouldn't spin at all. I've got another nutsert tool here. It's a little bit more low profile. I think we'll be able to get her done with this one. Oh yeah, you can actually see it working in there. All right, we should be good now. It's a close fit in there, man. A lot of stuff goes on this Raptor, I'll tell you what. A lot of stuff in a small space. This is an awkward design. Getting all this stuff in place with a thermostat and all. It just seems excessive. If you really didn't know your stuff, I could see why someone would get confused building one of these. Man, I think this might go in the history books as worst radiator wiring ever. Seriously though, look how congested this is in this area. There's our thermostat in there. If there's a thermostat delete, that's something I'm gonna jump on ASAP because this just seems so big and bulky. I mean, I've worked with a lot of machines and it's almost like an automotive thermostat. It's just big, but I got the radiator hoses all on there. As far as I know, I think all of the cable routing is done now. Hoses, wires, I got our fuel line here is ready to hook up. all of our cables, throttle cables and whatnot, the wire harness finally, all this stuff in the back. It'll pop into the plastics real nice and good. I've even got the battery charging. I put the new fluid in it and it's just charging. This airbox has seen better days, man. There was actually a hole in this bottom corner here. So I took this real thick heat tape. It's like a Dynamat. And I doubled it up, covered that whole corner, and it was melted because of the exhaust anyway, so I think it's good to have the heat tape in there. And then I put some on the inside here that's actually really durable. This stuff is super thick and it's super sticky. You put it on there, you hit it with the heat gun, and it like turns into this tar stuff and then hardens. That should actually be like a fix, but you can see it's busted back here. Up here, the one stay was busted away. This one was on its way out. I stitched it up a little bit with some zip ties. It's like holding on for dear life, but I mean, realistically, it's actually very solid. And I'm planning on running it with no airbox lid anyway, so I think this will be good. The airboxes are kind of hard to come by for the 660. I was looking in the OEM section when I started this build, and I ordered one. It said they were still available for like $25. Why would I not replace that for 25 bucks? And then I got an email from Rocky Mountain like a month later saying that it was no longer available and they canceled that order. So, and they're difficult to come by used. So it is coming along though, like I said. I mean, the wires are done and all. And this over here I think looks beautiful. I'm pretty happy with that. So yeah, I know, I'm getting obsessed with the wires and stuff. You guys are probably like, Mike, what are we doing over here? And then I have my switches over here. This will be like the last thing to plug in. I can't find the little neutral light plastic pieces, the clear plastic pieces. I have them. I know I do. I remember pulling them out. Maybe I threw them out. That's been like the theme with some stuff on this, but this is all ready to go. That's all custom. That's going to look really sweet, make it look like a Raptor 700. But yeah, basically I just have to put the exhaust on, put oil in it, and hook up the battery. And I think we can actually, put some fuel. I got to run down and get some 93. That's right, 93. This thing's going to run on pump gas. But once I get the fuel and stuff, we should be ready to do the first start. So we're pretty much there. All right, let's put some anti-seize on these exhaust studs because, dude, last thing we want is a seized exhaust when it comes time to take it off. That is the freaking worst. And we've got our brand new pre-owned header. This is I believe it's a big gun header because it had a big gun silencer on it, and this is aftermarket. I posted a picture of it, and I had this one guy arguing with me, telling me that it was OEM. It's kind of funny, honestly. Sometimes people like try to flex on me and like tell me that they're like, "Oh, I'm the Raptor expert." This dude was like, but it's like, dude, I don't even claim to be like an all-knowing expert or anything, especially not with the Raptor 660, dude. It's the first one I've ever built. But yeah, he's like, nah, man, that's an OEM header. But the OEM headers have different flanges up here. It's also a smaller inner diameter. I measured the inner diameter of this. This has a larger inner diameter. It's got nicer welds. There's a spring that connects the header up here, whereas OEM uses a clamp. And then in the back of the exhaust, there's a second portion where another heat shield goes, and this one doesn't have it. So the Big Gun and a number of other aftermarket exhausts actually had the tabs so that you could use your OEM exhaust shield. And we've got this Lex exhaust from Rocky Mountain ATV. These are pretty nice, man. I've always wanted to try one of these out. Just never had an opportunity to. It comes with an adapter to fit onto the OEM header, but you know, this isn't an OEM header, so it doesn't fit. It's definitely one of the more affordable exhausts, and it's a good build quality. It feels really good. Comes with the quiet core, so you can pop that in or out, which is actually kind of nice, especially because people have been calling the cops on me a lot. But I did have to put some aluminum tape on here because there was like a 0.5 millimeter of play, and now it fits on there perfectly. But they want you to put high temperature silicone on the pipe and on the inner diameter of the muffler before you put it on. I don't think we're really gonna need much on here. I put just the right amount of tape on here so that it's like almost a perfect fit. And I have it on the inner diameter too. But we'll put it on there just to be safe. I'll just kind of slide it in here. That's what she said. These are pretty nice clamps too, man. They have like these nice rubber straps. It says Lex right on there. I've seen some cheaper straps that really look crappy and chintzy. These are on the nicer side of things. It looks like they're stainless steel clamps and just nice quality. Just wanted to point that out though because some people rip on Lex exhaust. But I mean, it's an affordable exhaust company. It's not like you're getting like an Akrapovic or something like that. Man, that actually looks great. Really good fit and finish. And the quality, like holding it in your hand, you can tell it's made well. Really like these clamps. I just had this one spacer right here I had to use just because, like I said, it's kind of a universal kind of deal. And this one just fit perfectly. I just have that like in a box of random spacers and stuff. Man, that looks good. All right, we've got some fresh 93 octane here, but the tank still kind of smells a little funky. The gas that I pulled out of this thing was so gross. It was super old, man, and it was super stinky. So hopefully this will be enough to, you know, freshen it up. But it completely drained and cleaned at least. Let's put our fuels off. All right, man, here we go. Getting nervous here. The neutral light comes on, but like I said, I'm a little nervous here. A lot of variables, did a lot of electrical work on this thing, and we have that aftermarket stator in there, just some weird stuff. So we're just gonna see what happens, man. The kill switch is off. Try it without the choke. Oh, dude, I'm so nervous. Oof, it sounds like the starter clutch might need to be replaced. It really does. Yeah, the starter clutch definitely needs to be replaced. It felt okay when I was building the engine, but I wasn't 100% sure. Probably should have just replaced it, but hopefully we can get her started. I don't know. All right, I got the boost box on there. See, make sure we're getting full power to this thing. Oh man, that's starter clutch. All right, we've got the heavy duty valve springs, the high compression piston, and I think that makes it just a little bit more difficult for this thing to chug over. Maybe that was just enough to make this one, you know, take a shit on us. So I actually went in and just ordered one. It was $85 I paid for 2-day shipping, but that usually means 3 days or worse. It could be even longer than that. So I'm not gonna wait for those parts to come in. It's an easy enough thing to switch out, but I wanna finish this video up and I wanna get this thing running. So I'm gonna leave it on the tender for the night, charge the battery up. It's almost midnight. I can't be firing this thing up this late anyways. Plug these 2 wires in and we'll give it a shot first thing in the morning. Man, I could not sleep last night. I couldn't stop thinking about this thing. I did do some research. I was up pretty late, and it turns out, sure enough, this is it's not an uncommon thing with these things. So I guess as you modify these things, do high compression pistons, the cam and whatnot, they start to struggle with starting. So much so that there's a company that makes a heavy duty starter. They make a heavy duty starter clutch, because I guess they commonly go out on these things, specifically in the 01 to the 03, but also in the 04 to 05. The fact that there's so many aftermarket ones when you hop on Amazon or eBay, that tells me that is a common problem with them. So I was seeing a couple of the fixes that guys do is they'll add a Grizzly battery, Yamaha Grizzly battery, because they have a higher cold cranking amp, and they add thicker gauge wires, and they also add another ground that goes directly from the ground to the body of the starter. So it's kind of cool working with different platforms and stuff, because you learn the little quirks of machines and stuff that, you know, when I was starting the build, I probably would have accounted for all this stuff and put it in there. But since we're early enough in the build, I can at least add the heavy gauge wire, and I ordered a Yamaha Grizzly battery. This battery in here has 200 cold cranking amps, and the Grizzly battery has 270, which is a really big margin. And I got a performance battery, so it has 310 cold cranking amps. So going from 200 to 310, that's a pretty big difference. Now, I do think that the starter clutch probably needs to be replaced as well, probably. So I don't know that we need that to get it started though. So let's see what we can do. I don't feel like waiting for this stuff to come in the mail. Let's see if we can get this thing started. All right, let's measure how long we need to make this wire. And we'll do our secondary ground, which will probably actually be like our primary. It'll probably be better than the stock one. But this wire should be plenty long enough. I think what I'll do is put one end on there and measure it, and then I'll do the other end. I've got these terminals. These are actually a little bit big, but I'm out of terminals, so I just ordered a new set. This will get us by today, though. Doing a lot of hack work today, but we're gonna make it work. I want that quad to start today. I just got this new battery crimper. It's a hydraulic crimper. If you've ever crimped a battery terminal, they can kind of be a bitch, but this hydraulic one, I guess, will make it really easy. It looks just like a jack. You can break it loose and then tighten it down, and you pump it up and crimp your battery end. That's pretty neat. And then you can see these little dies in here. See, it says 4 gauge. These are magnetic. They kind of clip in and out. So depending on whatever, size wire you're doing, there's dies for, looks like pretty much everything. Pretty nice kit. Picked it up at Harbor Freight. I like to get these wire ends started first. This wire lug is actually a little bit too big, but I just ordered some more lugs. I think this is going to get us by today. Oh yeah, we got some extra squeezing out the sides, but that's good and tight, and it's gonna get us by today. We'll slide some heat shrink over this. All right, here we go, man. There's I did a blue wire, hooked right up to the body of the starter. It looks pretty cool, running up here. And I've got it doubled up on the negative terminal. Got the battery tender on there right now. Let's give this thing another shot. All right, now I think that cable will be more effective once we have the bigger battery in there, because it'll prevent a drop in amperage. Well, a little bit anyways. So ASPCA Raptor, first start, take 2. Let's see what happens here. No choke. Well, it definitely seems like it turns over a lot better. Let's give it a little bit of choke. Pump the gas a little bit. Now it doesn't want to turn over again. All right, I'm gonna give her just a sniff of ether, just to get her going here. It could be that junk stator, and we're just not even getting spark. Let's see if we're getting any spark. Well, it would seem that we're not getting any spark. It would be something electrical with that jank-ass wire harness. And again, the eBay stator. I was questioning that, putting it in, and it could very well be that. So no problem. Just gonna have to diagnose this. I will find the issue. It could be something as simple as how we're not running the any of the clutch, the clutch safety thing or the parking brake safety thing. Most of that stuff I just deleted out. Maybe I deleted it incorrectly and it's causing it not to spark. It could be anything, but I think we're actually in pretty good shape though. The atrocious sound coming from the engine is the starter clutch. I'm like 99% sure of that. That's an easy fix. I'm gonna be going in there anyways. The stator's gonna be right there. Maybe I'll swap that out. I don't know. But so we need to get spark and we need to replace our starter clutch. Not too bad, not too bad. Oh man, wait till you see this, guys. I think I found the issue. So we're semi-torn down here again. I would have bet that the issue was with this wire up here that leads to the coil and gives it power. But I checked for continuity with that wire. I figured there was a break in the wire because up here, there were a ton of breaks in the wires and like messed up sheathing. I fixed, I think, all of that. But you come back here and I missed this. Oh, what is that? Look at that, dude. That wire it looks like it was just clipped off. What is that, a white with a green stripe? Well, look at this. White with a green stripe. It's the white with a green dash is white with a green stripe. That goes to the pickup coil. If the pickup coil is not connected, we're definitely not going to get spark. So I'm going to take the sheathing off of this, and hopefully that wire is not too far away, if it's even in there. I guess somebody must have like taken the whole wire harness apart, and I guess they electrical taped the whole thing up. Man, I spent a lot of time redoing good portions of it. I'm starting to think that I should have just completely redone the wire harness, or at this point, spending, I think you could get the wire harness for like $450, an aftermarket one that has like stuff deleted and stuff. almost looking like it was worth it to do that, the amount of time that I'm spending putting into this. All right, let me get it done. There it is, man. That would definitely cause an issue. You can see it looks like it was repaired at some point in time. And then I don't know what happened, man, but that section of wire is just straight up missing. This one, I mean, that looks like it could have ripped off, but this one almost looks cut. Looks like somebody just snipped that right off. And then right here, like I was saying, I don't know, we'll have to open that up. I checked for continuity with this orange wire, and that is good, but I'm still gonna pull that off and just see what the condition is there. But like if you see this wire right here, the yellow wire, there's a slice in that. This black wire right here, you can see the actual fibers inside. This whole wire harness has just been a nightmare. That's why I was saying, I think it might, legitimately, if I could go back, I think it would be worth just buying a whole new wire harness, because without taking the electrical tape off the whole thing, there's really no way of knowing the shape of it. So I'm gonna go ahead and repair this, and with luck, we'll be good. I think the biggest thing for me is like, what happened? Like why did this break in the first place? I mean, this all is in a protected area that really shouldn't see any like tugging on wires, or like sticks and stuff don't get in there, like that would just shear it off. What's going on in here? Ooh, okay, all right. Got some nets. I mean, all I can think is that somebody would try to like modify this thing. Maybe they thought they were deleting the parking brake or something, and they just had no idea what they were doing and completely botched it up. But seriously, just makes me wonder, like, how did we get here? How did we get to this spot? I just don't know.
5 hours later.
All right, man, I'm digging away in this wire harness. I fixed that one wire. You can see I labeled it white with green stripe because I didn't have any of that wire laying around. Still no spark, but I checked for continuity. Now that is good. And what I've been doing is just checking continuity with every single one of these wires. And I just found another one. This blue wire right here, look at that, man. It looks like it was broken and then semi-tied together, and it was taped up in there. Again, more of these broken wires. The fact that that is botched up also, and all the stuff that I've found so far, has me convinced that it's something in the wire harness. I'm hoping that maybe the stator isn't bad, so that if we can fix just the wire harness and get this thing fired up, that'd be awesome. So I'm just gonna keep plugging away here. All right, guys, got some bad news. Good news for people that don't like me. But I went ahead and I tested a bunch of stuff on here, and a bunch of it just didn't turn out so good. So I tested the coil. Coil worked out great. Of course, that's an OEM part, so makes sense that that one would be good. The stator is throwing off some weird readings. Not sure I like it. It's like very close to being in spec, but it's an aftermarket stator, and I just don't trust it, so I prefer to replace that. We have to replace that starter clutch anyways, so we're going to be inside the left side of the engine anyways. Might as well replace that out. And the rectifier failed miserably, was not working at all. And then the CDI actually gets hot just when you turn the machine on. Within like a couple minutes, it gets really hot just holding it. I don't think it's supposed to be doing that. It's an aftermarket CDI, it's a Procom. I discovered that Procom is a rebranded Chinese CDI, and you know me with Chinese electronics, I'm really not a big fan of them. So I probably really should have tested this stuff out before, and you know, the CDI I couldn't have tested, but it's just a lesson learned again. And luckily I contacted Power Sports Nation, and they have an OEM CDI and an OEM stator in stock, so they're going to be sending them right to me. We'll replace all that stuff, and hopefully it'll be good to go. Unfortunately, it's going to be a couple days, so I have to decide if I want to get the A-arms and then the axle and everything on while we're waiting. But it's really nice and easy to work on with all this open space, so I may just wait. We'll see, but at any rate, I'm going to put this thing on the sawhorses so that I can drain the oil easily. That's the only thing I don't like about the scissor stand, is it makes it kind of difficult to drain fluids and stuff. But you know, it is what it is, guys. Now I've got really good access to change the oil.
I wanted to stop to thank you for making it this far into the video. I also wanted to thank the companies that are making Project ASPCA Raptor a possibility. Thank you to Rocket Ron Suspension, Rocky Mountain ATV, DRW Performance, Power Sports Nation, Ramosi Throttles, Bonehead Performance Coatings, Full Flight Racing, and Kenda Tire. These are all companies I trust, and most of them I use on a regular basis. Company links and discount codes will be listed in the description below. If you're enjoying the video so far and looking for a way to help out, giving the video a thumbs up, leaving a comment below, or subscribing to the channel all help out a ton. Products and tools in the video are listed in the description below, and purchasing from those links does help me out a lot. I get a small kickback from that, and there's no extra cost to you. Basket Case Garage t-shirts with the ASPCA Raptor on the front are now available. The link will be in the description below. Grab your shirt now and let everybody know that you helped save sport quads. And if you're looking to support the channel even further, there is the option to join. All channel members get guaranteed responses to their YouTube comments. All right, guys, I am done talking. Let's get back to the video.
Well, guys, it's the next day, and I really don't feel like waiting. So let's go ahead, and we'll start putting the A-arms on and the swing arm and everything, and you'll notice something is missing. I've already taken the side cover off, and we are prepped and ready for when the parts come. I've got everything over here, and check this out, man. Where are we at? Okay, here we go. This is the starter clutch right here. And this is really negligence on my part. You can actually see the flat spots. This one, you can see it. Little flat spots on there. And they're kind of notched. I don't know if you can see like the reflection of the light. Just really, I just wasn't paying attention, man. Probably should have done a little bit of a better job checking those parts. The gear is going to be replaced too. This is that gear that it's not straight. I didn't think we were going to have a problem with it, but you know, good thing since we have this apart, we'll replace it. I think this surface right here, maybe the tolerances aren't the greatest on it either. So it's just going to be good to replace that anyways. And this is our culprit. Junk. Chinese stator. That's going to go directly into my eBay store for sale for a lot of money because this is a great part. But yeah, all the rest of this is good to go. And I did notice something. So this may actually have been a blessing in disguise. The fact that the engine didn't start. There was like no oil in the bottom end. I don't know why it didn't flow. I checked the lower oil line, which is blocked off right now because I removed it. That flows just fine. Here's the line right here. I checked for flow, but it was slightly kinked here. So I managed to round that out and open it up just a little bit better, and it flows a little bit better now. I don't know if that's something that, you know, once the engine actually gets running, it would have sucked the oil in. Maybe it just didn't want to flow. But the oil goes in here, and I checked with the air compressor. You know, air goes through there, no problem, and you can feel the air pressure coming back out here. So there's no obstructions in the bottom of the oil tank. The oil filter is nice and clean and everything. There's no reason that oil shouldn't flow through there. So I'm not really sure why that happened, but I'm going to make sure that there's engine oil in the engine before we do the first start by putting oil in the rocker cover up here and just dumping oil straight into the engine. Then we'll know that there's oil in there. We'll check for oil pressure and we'll make sure that we're getting good circulation and stuff. But we could have possibly had like a bigger problem on our hands. Anyways, let's move into putting these sweet ass full flight A-arms on. This is when we're going to start bringing in the lime green. I'm hoping that this lime green shows up on the camera as brilliant as it is in person because these things are freaking beautiful. But anyways, something that you usually have to do with any build where you do powder coat is you got to check all of your bolt holes and stuff. I've already done most of the holes on this frame, but I'll show you like this one here. The bolt does not want to push through nice and smooth. That's because powder coat has a thickness to it, so it kind of actually makes the holes a little bit smaller. Sometimes you can get away. This one here was okay, but it's a good idea before you start putting your stuff together to just test all your holes. Now, if you do have holes that need to be opened up, oh no. This tool here is a godsend. I'm telling you, it's perfect because it's actually a little porting tool, but it's so good because it's so small and it's angled. So like little holes, even like right here, you can actually get this in here. You know, there's weird angles and stuff that it could be a real pain in the ass getting to them. This just makes such a breeze, such quick work of it. So you should probably use safety glasses when you're doing this too. I have special ones on that you can't really see, but. Now these full flight A-arms use a threaded Heim design, so you've got a lot of adjustability with these things. I like to thread them all the way in, install them, and then I will adjust it from there.
The further out that you go, the less strength you're gonna have. So that's why I like to go in as far as I can. And all of these components, I like to anti-seize, because if you're ever gonna adjust them or remove them or anything, these are the types of parts that get seized, and you just don't want that. So anti-seize is your friend.
All right, let's get these in place. These have a series of spacers that are utilized to get everything to fit correctly. And all these bolts, I'm anti-seizing the shaft and the threads. And just like with all suspension components, I don't tighten any of these down until there's weight on the machine. Once we got it on the ground on the wheels. And then we've got our traditional Yamaha single through bolt at the top. This could be kind of tricky. I'm gonna see if I can get this to stay in place with friction, if it'll just stay. And this is a bolt that is not included in the alloy bolts kit. And this one you definitely want to anti-seize. If you remember, the one side was seized really bad. That bolt was really difficult to remove. Oh man, that looks freaking sweet. All right, now I'm gonna put my spindle in place. Not gonna tighten it down, just put it in place. This is one of those areas, man. Anti-seize is your friend. Oh man, it's actually starting to look like something up front. I slipped the tie rod in there when you guys weren't looking too. You wanna make sure that these are facing upwards, both of them on the Raptor 660. And as for adjustment, it actually looks like it's gonna be pretty close. You wanna make sure that your upper joint is behind the lower joint. You don't want the upper joint in front of it. That causes, I forget if it's oversteer or understeer, but the correct way is having the lower one in the forward position, and it looks pretty good. And then as far as making our camber adjustment, you can see it's tilted upwards a little bit, so we'll be bringing out the upper one. So I could actually tighten up the lower stuff. And these I can tighten up, they're all good to go, but actually looks pretty good. Now as for shocks, I know we were originally going to use those YFZ 450R shocks that Rocket Ron had, sprung up and everything custom, but the Fox suspension on the Voodoo Banshee is just so good. I wanted to run the same thing on the ASPCA, so we have these two brand new Fox Float 6. These are great shocks. There's a couple modifications. A lot of guys bag on these. I don't know why. They say they're junk, but they're awesome shocks. There's just a small modification that we have to do to these things. I'll show you exactly how to do it, and these will seriously probably be the best suspension that you can buy. All right, so we're gonna have to do a modification to the reservoir. First things first, let's get it in the vise. Put the rag in there because we don't wanna chip up our new shocks. That should be good. All right, now the problem with these things is that they're so heavily charged from the technology that they're too springy. So to get to the maximum performance, this is like the hack to get to it. We have to basically make it a remote reservoir. So we're gonna take the reservoir off with this tool here. And then I'll show you what we do after. Don't forget to wear your safety goggles when you do this. I know this seems crazy and all, but this is what top guys are doing, so. Oh, holy shit, dude. I was not expecting that. So the plan was to do like a funny skit showing how these reservoirs have no fluid in them and they're hollow, or they're not hollow, but they're just a solid block of aluminum, but there's actually fluid in there and there's a little hole. So I still don't trust these RFX eBay shocks. But surprise, surprise. Yeah, guys, so we were never actually going to use those shocks. And for those that don't know, those eBay shocks are notorious for, they either snap, which is extremely dangerous, or a lot of other guys have cut off the reservoirs and it's usually just a solid block of aluminum. They're not very good. Anyways, we're gonna go ahead and switch around to the rear end because as you can see, we're kind of doing a balancing act here, and I can feel it's getting heavy in the front end. So I want to put some weight in the rear end. We'll do the axle and the carrier and stuff. Have I mentioned how much I love this Tusk scissor stand? It just makes it so easy to move the bike around, especially for me because I'm always moving stuff to get it in like camera angles and all. Anyways, let's get our rear carrier in. This is a dual row billet carrier. I got this off of Amazon. It was fairly cheap. Going to anti-seize the contact points because this does slide back and forth. And they get stuck, man. It's not the best design, but at least anti-seize will
help a little bit with it not getting stuck. Go on the inside of the carrier or the swing arm as well. And we'll slide this in place. This is one of those things you want to pack your bearings ahead of time. And we've got our caliper stay goes on the other side. Same thing. Anti-seize. This was another piece that was freaking stuck solid when I was pulling it apart. Now I'm going to put my sprocket guard in place. This actually bolts through the bolts that hold the carrier on, so now's the time to do it. All right, now DRW supplies these super long Allen bolts. We're going to slide it through the case saver. I'm going to put two more washers on here because there's a little bit of a raised portion, and I don't want that there to be a gap there. So these washers will fill that void. Before I go any further, I'm going to put the second one in. And then the kit comes with regular nuts. You could probably use Loctite or a lock washer with them. I'm gonna upgrade to these Nylocks. Oh shit. These Nylocks have a little plastic strip in the top that's a little bit tighter than the threads, and it will lock the bolt. And these usually never back off. Now I'm gonna bring these in by hand, and because these have to be loose to adjust the chain. So we will be torquing these down later on. And now while I've still got somewhat easy access under here, I'm gonna put the DRW belly skid in place. Also because I hate doing skid plates because it's always kind of awkward. So I kind of want to get it out of the way. Okay, now for our sprocket, we've got a guard that looks like this. This is made of UHMW plastic, if people are wondering. This stuff is ultra durable. People have attacked me before saying like, oh, it's junk because it's plastic, it's not gonna hold up. These things are ultra durable. If you guys watched the Voodoo Banshee series, I did have an issue where I lost this thing, and it kind of made it seem like the product didn't do its job, but it was actually my negligence and not Loctiting my bolts in place. And I also used titanium. Titanium is not the best hardware for shear strength, so it just wasn't the best for this application. Anyways, we got some stainless steel hardware that comes with the kit. We just have to replace the studs that come OEM on the Yamaha Raptor. It's gonna be the same for the Banshee, and I think for the Blaster as well. Not 100% sure about the Blaster though. Now in the back, since I just had these powder coated, when I loosen these up, take them off, I don't want it to, the powder coat's gonna crack. I don't wanna be I'm gonna try to control that anyways. So I've got a dowel that I sharpened, and I'm just gonna put this in the vise and try to cut the powder coat so that when we break these free, hopefully it won't like flake off and crack. This could be trivial effort, but might as well at least try. All right, now I'm gonna chuck this up just gently. Really doesn't need to be crazy tight. You don't wanna crack your casting. And then just like when we're doing cylinder studs, we'll use the double nut trick. And I'm a big fan of using the impact for this. I think it makes things a lot easier. And there's our old stud. Okay, now the studs going in are a lot easier because they have the Allen head style. So it needs a little bit of high temperature red Loctite because sometimes in the back here, things can get hot with friction. Last thing we want is these studs falling out of place. And I'm basically just gonna run these in until they're just barely poking out the other side. All right, well that came out pretty nice. Looks like our little trick with our dowel worked for the powder coat. I don't think we have any cracking at all. Looks really good. Now we can put our Renthal 42 tooth sprocket in place. This is compliments of Rocky Mountain ATV. Appreciate those guys helping out. Man, this is gonna look freaking awesome. All right, now here is where I went wrong with the Banshee, is in the hardware. So instead of putting nuts on this step, I put spacers. So there wasn't a dedicated nut holding the sprocket on, and it failed. So that's never gonna happen again because we're gonna use Nylocks. For sprockets and any kind of vibrating areas, these things are just the freaking best, man. Gonna have to do these by hand. Hopefully I can get in a rhythm here because it's not faring very well for me. I've got an idea. I think I'm gonna flip these studs, and that way I'll be able to hold the stud from the other side, and I can use an impact to drive those Nylocks down because that's gonna take like 1.5 years, and it'll be easier for servicing it too. All right, we'll come through this way. Much better. And now, the most important part. Anti-seize your studs. Now we should be able to hold from the bottom and drive these home. Oh yeah, that's the money right there. All right, now we're gonna throw
another washer on top. Oh my gosh, Mike, how many washers do you use? Now we're gonna be using another nylock on the top, so I'm gonna put a little bit more anti-seize on these because the first nut that we tightened down, it strips most of the anti-seize off of these. Now we can actually put the case saver on. The part we're doing all this work for. And another nylock. You can really drive these home because the UHMW has a slight amount of flex. You can actually see it in the reflection. But you want to make sure that your threads are contacting the nylock. They should actually be coming through a little bit. These studs aren't made to have as many washers as I'm running on there. So they could probably be like, I don't know, 2 millimeters longer and they'd be perfect, but this should work just fine. All right, and now we can get our axle in place. All these splines and stuff, I put anti-seize in it. You just want to make it a freaking nightmare for the next guy that pulls this apart and has to clean it and get all that shit off. I believe this can go in either way. Actually, no, this was the one that I struggled and tried pulling it out of the wrong side. It has to go in from the sprocket side. Always something. All right, so we got a seal predicament here. The inner lip of this seal is supposed to ride on the inside of this sprocket hub. Now, I don't know if you guys will be able to see, but when it's in there, it shouldn't be able to wiggle around like that. It's supposed to be nice and tight. Now, luckily, I have the correct seals here, and I just wanted to make sure, and you can see it doesn't even go on there. It needs to be pressed, which is the way it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be a snug fit on there because that's what keeps dirt and shit out. So, easy fix, but just like, what the hell, dude? It's got the right outer diameter, so I'm gonna have to pull those out and put the correct seals in. So this is the second time I've had this happen with an aftermarket carrier. The first time was on the KFX 450R. And it was too small, actually. It was a little too tight. And I get it. These are cheaper aftermarket parts. This was like a really affordable carrier. It's not a big deal for me, but somebody, like an average consumer, isn't just going to be able to pull the correct seal out of their ass. Or even worse, they won't even notice, and then dirt and stuff gets in there, and it fails prematurely. So, I mean, it's an easy thing. Just put the correct seal in place. So stuff like that does kind of frustrate me, but at least we'll be able to fix it. All right, now we've got the right seal size. Let's see what happens here. I also had to take the skid plate off because, oh, wrong way. I had to take the skid plate off because I discovered they sent me a Raptor 700 skid plate, not the 660. And the 700 doesn't quite fit. But that's one of the great things about DRW is their customer service. And I talked to Weston. He is going to overnight the 661 first thing on Monday, because right now it's Saturday. I'm actually surprised that went on so easily. Now I'll tap it home. All right, then we'll come over to the brake side. Got a sweet ass wave rotor that actually came with this quad. And we've got our axle nut. This is a Tusk axle nut. I had a tool for this. There we go. All right. And then I won't tighten any of this stuff down until it's on the ground. All right, man, starting to look pretty cool. Just gonna anti-seize up our hub splines, spacers, and these freaking sweet ass hubs. Powder coated by Bonehead Performance. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, man. Looking freaking sweet. Got the chain on there. DID. And the brake caliper. And of course, we got a fitment problem. What else is new, right? So this is the caliper that actually came on this machine. It's definitely an aftermarket, but it looks brand new. So I figured I would use it. I put name brand pads in here though. I took the crap pads that were in there out. But here's what I noticed. So it's lined up perfectly, and that mounting hole, the one up here, I've got the bolt in there, and you'll see it hits the disc. Even when the bolt hole's in there, it doesn't lift it up at all. It hits the disc. So I noticed if you look at the caliper, it even looks like it's a little bit off tilt. Like it needs to be about right there. And if you hold it in that position, it doesn't hit the rotor. So what I'm gonna have to do is fill that hole with weld and then drill and tap a new hole. Just, what the All right, man, I'm tired of messing around with brake calipers and eBay shocks. Let's get these YFZ 450R shocks on. Custom built by Rocket Ron. Long travel for this anyways. They're 18¼ inches long. Regular long travel for Raptor is 18½. But the compatibility is gonna be so much better with these because any YFZ 450 stuff is gonna work. Dude, that looks sick. Oh man, does that look good or what? The lime green looks freaking sweet. Love these shocks with that bronze shock in the middle, the matching lower spring, a little bit of an off gray up top. It all goes together really, really nice. That looks freaking sweet. These are YFZ 450 first gen dual piston calipers. They work great. I used them on a couple other bikes and they have phenomenal braking power. I'm hoping that they work well with this aftermarket master cylinder. I don't know if this is gonna put out enough volume of fluid for them. If it doesn't, we can always switch it out, but I like testing stuff like that out. Ran the brake lines, just did the simple zip tie method. I actually ordered some lime green zip ties. I might switch those out. Oh, dude, when the wheels are on there and tires, it's gonna look really, really awesome. And back, we're good to go. We have no binding with the brake, that rear caliper anymore. Got our cable on there as well. It's looking really freaking sweet. Still waiting for our parts for the engine. I'm gonna do something here that kind of goes against my policy, and I'm gonna put the graphics on ahead of time because, man, I'm ready, dude. I'm ready to get this thing done. I'm tired of waiting. So let's throw the plastics on, and we'll be ready to rock and roll as soon as our starter clutch, stator, and our CDI get here. All right, man, parts are here. We are about ready to get this thing fired up with hopes. PSN coming in to the rescue. We've got an OEM stator right here. It is a brand new pre-owned. We've also got, I believe this is an OEM rectifier. We will never know, but if you look at it compared to the one that came off, they're different sizes, quite a bit different. I'm pretty sure this one's aftermarket. Like I said, that this one failed testing. So we've got a new rectifier. And we've also got an OEM CDI. So with hopes, man, with hopes, this thing's gonna fire up. And since we're gonna be in the engine, I got a brand new starter clutch gear. Check it out. Here's the one that came off. I don't know, I think this is OEM, but I don't know if you guys remember, but you can see it wiggles. It's bent. And also, check this out. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but there's a good bit of play in there. So I think it's just worn, man. And here's the new one going in, the aftermarket. Barely any play at all. Nice and straight, so no problem there. That'll be a nice little upgrade. And then, of course, we've got our brand new starter bearing. We'll get rid of this old one. It's got flat spots and stuff. I'm ready for it, man. Let's do it. All right, getting ready to put the battery in. Check this big bastard out. Look at the size difference. This is the Grizzly 660 battery, and this is the Raptor 660 battery. I'm not sure why the Grizzly one is so much bigger. It's they're about the same thickness. That's what she said. And, but you can see the overall profile is just freaking huge. This is rated at 310 cold cranking amps. This one is a measly 200. So big upgrade here. I hope this bastard fits in there. Well, we'll see. That's also what she said. Oh man, this is a big bastard. And it's heavier than shit too. It weighs like 12 pounds. But would you look at that? Wow, no wonder this is a common upgrade. That literally fits in there like it's made for it. And the last thing I want to do is pour oil directly into the cam cover so we know that there's oil in the crankcase. This will run right down the engine. It's a good way to do a first start anyways. And I'm gonna be using this ice. The stuff is really, really tasty, and it's good for engines too. See if I can do this without any spills. Yeah, man, this stuff is great, dude. It's only 5 calories too. Whoa, what the f? I don't know if you guys can see that smoke, but something just happened. What the f? I hope I didn't just fry this CDI. What is it with Yamaha Raptors and electrical issues with me? I think the only thing to do here is completely strip down the wire harness to like absolutely nothing. Probably what happened is the guy fried the ECU, bought this Procom and trying to fix it, fried this, and now I just fried another CDI. And it's probably all due to some sort of faulty wiring because you guys have seen in the harness, it's just totally toast. So I'm gonna do this on my own. We've done way too much wiring in this video. I'm gonna rip the entire wire harness down to absolutely nothing. I couldn't get a there's no wire harnesses that I can get delivered in a timely manner. So I'm gonna order a new CDI just in case and just tear into this wire harness and we'll see if we can get her going. Well guys, I think I may have found the issue here. I'm almost 100% sure. I had to stop and show you this before I start peeling this apart. These are the leads that go to our coil. We got our hot wire and our ground. And look at what I found, man. These wires are literally melted together. I'm peeling them apart. Literally, they're stuck. And you can see all of this wire, all of this ground wire is exposed. And then same thing on this hot wire. You can see the fibers inside and they were fused together. Definitely shorting out. This entire wire I've been replacing, you can see right here, it was literally melted the entire way back. So I've replaced that entire wire. I inspected all of the other wires and then I replaced any of the conjoining wires with these weatherproof butt splices. Somebody was giving me crap, not giving me crap, but just saying that these things are junk, but they're not. I used these when I worked in emergency services vehicles, and we would use these on ambulances and fire trucks and stuff and police cars, things that require reliability. And as long as they're high quality ones that have the glue inside, when you heat them up, the glue really turns these into like one protected unit. They're waterproof. They're very reliable. The way that Yamaha does it, I think I tossed them all. But it's really, oh, actually there's one right here that I haven't got to yet. This is OEM Yamaha. I'm gonna pull it apart right now and show you what it looks like. This is how they do it from the factory, I guess. I was kind of disappointed. They've got electrical tape on it to protect it, which is, to me, that's jank, dude. And then they have, get some focus here, it's crimped together. And you can see the corrosion and stuff. So I've been clipping these, cleaning the wires, making sure we have good, nice fresh threads and good clean copper. And then I've been putting the weatherproof splices on here throughout the entire wire harness just to make sure, you know, we have good contact everywhere. We don't have any, oh geez, this harness is falling off the bench. But I think that's just a nice upgrade. Really, the whole wire harness needed to be inspected.
3 hours later.
Now you may not be able to appreciate this unless you've done electrical work before, but man, this to me is just beautiful. Entirely redone. This thing should have no issues at all. I replaced a lot of wires. You can see I've got a lot of like new ends here, anything that looked corroded or wire sheathing that I just didn't like or it looked kind of burnt and crispy. Here's another connector right here I replaced. The whole thing is basically brand new. First thing in the morning tomorrow, guys, it's D-Day. I think it's what, D-Day 3? Is this the third? No, fourth time. Fourth first start attempt with the ASPCA Raptor. Let's get it, guys. I'll see you in the morning. All right, man, it's the next morning. All the wire harnesses are all back mounted up and everything. I tested all of my continuity and everything. Turned the key on with the battery plugged in and all, and I tested with a multimeter to see where we're getting power from, to see if we're getting it at the right pins and everything. So it seems right. We shouldn't fry this. I'm just nervous. But let's go, man. Let's plug it in, turn this thing on, and let's see if we got spark. Just kidding. All right, I'm gonna turn the ignition on. This is what fried the last one. It's not getting hot. It's been all, the neutral light is on. I think we're all right. Last time it literally fried in like 2 seconds, so let's see if it turns over. Nice and smooth too. And now the real test, will we get spark? I haven't shut the camera off even once yet because of all the weird stuff that's been happening. Oh, dude, look at that. Oh, we got spark. I don't know if you can see that. Oh yeah, that's what's up. Dude, I don't know if it's corny or not, but that's a really good feeling. I was really nervous, man. I've been waiting for the CDI to come, fried 2 CDIs and stuff. I'm feeling really good about this. I'm gonna throw the plug in and I think we're money, man. I think we're money. All right, guys, here we go. ASPCA Raptor, first start attempt. Try number 4. Ignition is on. Fuel is on. Here we go. Well, I guess the starter clutch and the big battery work, that turns over really nicely. All right, we got this. Make sure everything's cool here. We'll put the choke on. Give it a little gas maybe. Oh! Dude, that is really quiet. It sounds like I got an exhaust leak. All right, it runs. I gotta remember, there's no coolant in it. I can hear an exhaust leak somewhere up here. I'm gonna have to address that, but it runs! It runs! Yeah! I think this is the most excited I've ever been for a first startup for a machine that sounds so crappy. This quiet core has to come out ASAP, man. But I'll tell you what, that's gonna be really nice for riding around the neighborhood. Maybe the neighbors won't call the police, who knows? And there's definitely an exhaust leak someplace. It could be maybe here where the little conjunction is. I'm not sure. It definitely, you can hear like giving the choo-choo sound. So I don't even care though, dude. I'm just so happy that it runs and the CDI hasn't exploded yet. So I think we got a victory here. Guys, check it out. No more choo-choo train. The exhaust gaskets weren't lined up. That quiet core's gotta go though, man. The neighbors will love it. You know, I think this Raptor has abandonment issues. Like, it just needs to have a problem. Like, you ever have a girlfriend that everything's just perfectly fine and, you know, nothing's going wrong, and then they create a problem? It's sort of what's going on here. For the first time in reveal history, we've torn the quad back down. So I had to take the clutch cover off, and I'm still not 100% sure what's going on. Basically, I was getting ready for the little, you know, ride around, check the gears, and see how this thing, you know, rips. And I just do like little checks and everything to make sure that nothing's going to explode. And we weren't getting good oil flow. So I noticed, I went to top the oil off, and the reservoir was actually, when I pulled the dipstick out, it started overflowing. So the oil pump was working, I imagine, because it was pumping oil up into the oil tank, but then it didn't seem to be going back into the engine. So I pulled the oil filter off, and the oil filter was dry, and that's not good. I'll show you. Literally, I mean, you guys might not be able to tell, but it's dry. Like, nothing was going in there. So I figured maybe the oil pump wasn't working. I pulled the oil pump off, and I'll show you that. The oil pump seems to be functioning fine. In fact, there's some oil in it right now. If you spin it, you can see it starts to pump oil. Go the other way, it'll come out the other side. There's not much left in there. But that tells me that this is working. It's moving nice and smooth. There you go, see? I'm still gonna pull this apart and inspect everything, but I mean, I built this engine. I did notice some wear in this, but it didn't seem like enough to make it not work. Maybe I'll replace this, I don't know. I blew out the lower oil line. I took off some of the connecting lines and blew these out. I checked even the banjo bolts to make sure that these are flowing, and everything seems to be going good. I've been taking air and blowing it into the oil passages and everything. So short of checking a couple more oil passages, I'm really not sure what else could be preventing flow, or if it just has to build some RPMs to get the oil flowing right. I just don't want to take any risks here, man, because you do all this work and then burn the engine up, I'd be pissed. I don't know anybody that would do that. Oh, all right, so I'm gonna do a couple tests, see if I notice anything glaring that would possibly, you know, maybe there's a blockage or something. I don't know. All these parts were sandblasted, powder coated. Maybe there's some sand from the sandblasting that got stuck in a passageway or something. I'm not really sure, but definitely needs to be checked. And I'll get back with you guys after I take a look at this thing. All right, so I've got an update. We've got this. Huge shout out to my buddy Andrew, who actually lives here in town, a buddy of mine from when I was growing up, and he actually had this on hand. You know, he lives like 20 minutes away. So huge shout out. I really appreciate it. It's going to keep us from having to wait another couple days by ordering another one. Check this out. All right, so here's the new oil pump, nice and smooth. What's scary though is that the other one was actually pretty much just as smooth. But anyways, I had pulled that one apart originally, and this is the old one. You guys can see, you'll probably be yelling at me. There's a good bit of wear. Something got in here at some point in time, and you can see it's grooved out. The thing is though, when everything was all together and in place, it rolls nice and smooth. And I mean, if you poured oil on the one side and spun it, it would pump oil. So I thought it would be okay, but you know what? This could be the issue that we have. In fact, I'm pretty sure it is. So we got this fresh one here. And in fact, I'm gonna pull it apart. I'll show you the inside. That part that I just showed you, you'll see how much better it is. Look at that, that's that same part. Got some assembly lube in there, but look how nice and smooth that is. As compared to the old one, you can see the difference in condition. All right, so I'm gonna get this thing back together. I'm gonna bleed the oil system, and then hopefully we can ride this thing. All right, now I've got oil in the oil tank. We're gonna prime this oil system. I called up my buddy Weston Rainwater, and he called a buddy of his and said this is really important. He's a Raptor 660 guy. It's pretty common for the 660 to have oil that just doesn't want to flow. So we're gonna take off our timing window, and I'm gonna put a drill. I'm using a drill. You don't want to use I don't think an impact would be good for this. I want it to roll over smooth. We're gonna roll it over in a counterclockwise fashion. And then on the other side, we've got a little bleeder screw. We'll pop that out, and we're gonna turn the engine over until oil comes out of that hole, and that means the system is primed. And I do have the spark plug removed to do this, so that it'll turn over a little easier. That's not good. Oh, there it is. We got it. I was getting worried there for a minute. And since we've had issues with circulation on this thing, and I want to make sure that we've got plenty of oil up in the head, I'm going to go ahead and turn this over just a little bit more before we fire it up. All right, man, we're back together, and she fires right up. I already tested her out. Check it out. We'll flip on our switch. Make sure the kill is off. We'll try it without choke. Oh, almost had it. A little bit of choke. The idle's really nice. Sure sounds good, doesn't it? Unfortunately, I'm pretty sure we're still having some electrical headaches. I'm not gonna lie, I'm getting pretty tired working on this thing. So you can hear it runs great, it starts great, but oh man. I'm pretty sure it's an electrical issue. That and one of the coolant hoses. I already figured out which one it is though. It's up under here under the thermostat. That's not really a problem. It's probably a hose clamp just needs to be tightened, but these things I know have issues with like the reverse rev lockout, the clutch lockout, and the, gosh, I can't even think right now. I've honestly, you guys know the follow the series, I've been waiting for these videos to come out. I've been working so much on this machine, and I haven't been taking many breaks because I really want to get this video out, and it's eating me alive, dude. I'm tired of working on this thing right now. It has the clutch, the safety switches that I removed all of them. There's a safety switch for the clutch, safety switch for the parking brake, reverse lockout, rev limiting switch. And I've had 660s before, and I know if there's issues with them, that's what they do. It died that time, but earlier when I had fired it up, it just like hits the rev limiter like really early, and it sputters and pops. That's a symptom of one of those things usually malfunctioning. And I deleted them from the wire harness. It's possible that I didn't wire it correctly. So it's probably some stupid little thing like that. I just really don't feel like tearing the wire harness back again, but bitching and moaning ain't gonna change nothing. So I will see you guys, hopefully not too far in the future, and I'll let you know what I find, and we'll see if we can get that fixed so we can finally take this thing for a freaking ride, finally. So how long has it been now? 1 week? 2 weeks? I honestly don't even know. It's been way too long though, and we have to ride this thing. It just has to happen. This has probably been the most toggle shooting that I've ever had to do with a build ever. Since like it's been all together, I've never had this many little issues and bugs and stuff like that. This one's pretty bad though, but I actually, during this 2-week hiatus, even though it's been like 5 seconds if you're watching the video, I've been trying to figure out all the little problems and stuff, and most of it I haven't even filmed because I just wanted to get the damn thing done. So many that I actually made a list. Okay, so bad oil pump. You guys saw that one. We just weren't getting any oil circulation. Then I had leaking coolant from one of the exhaust studs. Once I had it fired up with the oil circulating and it got warm, it started leaking coolant from the head, and I was like, dude, you gotta be kidding me. And luckily it was coming from the stud, so I was able to pull the stud out, seal the very, very small hole. What had happened is someone at some point in time had stripped out the exhaust studs, and they were helicoiled, and they just went a little bit too far, and they went into the coolant jacket. So fixed that, no more leaks there. Then I had issues where it was hitting the rev limiter. If you guys are Raptor 660 guys, I've learned all about the Raptor 660 now, and they just have issues with, it's usually the parking brake wires. It'll cause it to like sputter and make like weird, it just won't go anyplace because it's hitting the rev limiter. Then there's an issue with the reverse rev limiter also. I have both of those deleted from the wire harness and from the system now, so that was fixed. Then I had a hard starting issue. Fixed that by putting a bigger battery. I also put larger battery cables and an extra ground, and I also replaced the starter switch because I had bad contacts in there. That made it a lot better. Then the aftermarket battery that I had ordered for this just decided to stop working. Ordered another aftermarket battery, and the terminals were backwards, and it made it so that the cables wouldn't reach. So now I have the original Tusk battery in there, but it's okay. And that one makes it kind of difficult to chug over. But so that was like fixed and now unfixed. So after I fixed all the rev issues, then it wouldn't rev past like 4,500 RPMs. It was dying out and just like suffocating and dying. It wasn't sputtering like before with the rev limiter. It was just dying out. Just turned out to be jetting. I fixed that issue. Then I was able to ride it around, which normally I do that first thing with you guys, but because of all the issues, I just had to take it out and, you know, see if there were any more bugs, and of course there were. Oh God. Yeah, so it just had absolutely no top end power. It felt like the clutch was slipping, had a lot of down low torque, and then it would just be nothing up top. And I figured that was a jetting issue, and sure enough it was. Unfortunately, I didn't have the jets, so that was another waiting period. Got the jets in, now it's got lots of power. I went up literally like 10 sizes in jets. It runs really good now, it starts really good and all. It still has some hard starting, but that's okay. We'll address that. I think I'm gonna do I think the decompression pin might need a little bit of work because it had an aftermarket cam in this engine to begin with, so it might have had an aftermarket decompression pin in there also, and it's a niche, which sometimes that's good, sometimes that's bad. I'd rather get an OEM one in there, so we'll replace that. That should probably fix the hard starting issue. And the other thing is it's a small one that's going to be, just needs to be tuned out basically, and it's that the transmission is shot. Yeah, so I did notice some comments of people saying like, dude, you have a 2001 transmission, get rid of it, because this is an 04. At least the VIN number on the frame is a 2004. And again, if you're a Raptor 660 guy, the 2001 year has a lot of issues with specifically second gear and reverse. They just go bad, like really frequently. I was looking at like a poll on a Raptor forum, and they said that by like 2010, something like 40% of 2001 transmissions had been blown up or shot, second gear specifically. So it was just a faulty design. They updated it from 02 to 05. And unfortunately, this has the 01 transmission in it, which is prone to having issues, the second gear. And sure enough, this one does have it. You could see wear on the shift forks when I was putting it together. And I've put machines together with forks that look like that, and usually it's okay. But I think the Raptor 660, especially that 01 transmission, is really sensitive to that. And it certainly does not work. So like I said, we're just gonna have to tune that out. So without further ado, let's hop on this thing and I'll show you what it's doing.
All right, here we go. Let's see if it starts. The only time it doesn't want to turn over is if it's on a compression stroke. I don't even know if we'll really need choke. It starts up really good if it turns over. There we go. It does run really good. I'm really happy with the way it runs. It sounds great. Now that I took the that quiet core out of there, that Lex exhaust, I am very happy with that. Something up here is vibrating. I don't know what it is. I don't know if you guys can hear that. Very light. When I hold the Nerf bar, it goes away. So I'll have to look for that. I don't know if it's the foot pedal. Not sure. We got to do a sound check, man. We have to. Got the tachometer up here, man. The tach's working. 1,800 RPMs. When it warms up, it comes down a little bit. It's got a little bit of a hanging idle. So I think that's another one of those things. You can see it coming down a little bit slow. Another carb tuning thing. I feel like in the finale videos, we usually get it to a tunable point where it's pretty good, but not perfect. Just needs, things need to be tuned out, like it needs a new transmission. All right, let's see if it moves. It is smooth, I will say, very smooth. Woo! Damn, man, you actually really got to hold on to this thing. Who would have thought? It has really responsive power. running machine. Barely any backfires, but just a little bit. So I think it might just be a little bit on the lean side. Man, that sounds good. So here's the thing, man. We're gonna try to shift into second gear. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but it's not going into gear. And if you really force it and rev it a lot, it starts to make like grinding sounds. And even though we're replacing the transmission, I don't know if I really want to be doing that. But we can shift past it. Get it into third. But man, it's geared really tall. We'll take it down the street real quick. If you're new to the channel, this development is not very appreciative of loud machines, so we got to respect that and be quick about this. There's a basin that I used to go to tune these, and they just call the cops like immediately every time, and they're getting weird with confiscating them. So we'll do a riding video someplace else. Man, third gear is really tall. I bet you this thing would go like 90 miles an hour. Try to downshift a second. No second. Go to third, fourth, fifth. So oh dude, that scared the shit out of me. Oh, I thought that was gonna be a cop. They do not like me around here. The brakes feel pretty good. I think they need a little bit more bleeding. Again, got to do some tuning. Seems to track nice and straight, but it's just got really good, very responsive. See if we can maybe get a little bit of air. A little bit. It's very, very plush. This is those triple rate YFZ 450R shocks. It feels like it's not going off the ground at all. And I mean, realistically, it's just a couple inches, but it feels like nothing. I bet you this thing's gonna be really plush. Probably very nice for like rough terrain, especially with the Havoc tires. They're really, really beefy. But it really is smooth coming down. I do wonder, like, how long has it been since somebody has ridden this quad? I would guess, like, legitimately, at least 5 years. It really is a very, very smooth, very smooth power. Everything's nice and tight. I feel like it will handle very well too. It's got like a really nice stance. I feel like it's just, I can't wait to take it on the trails, dude. Nice. Okay, so we've got a machine that just needs a little bit of tuning. You know, we'll tune that second gear out. It's really not a big deal at all. I mean, it's a basic, almost as easy as, you know, adjusting your fuel air screws, basically, except that you have to pull the engine and pull the crankcases apart. It's basically the hardest thing to get to on the entire engine. But realistically, it's actually pretty awesome. It rides really well. I can feel it's got good power. The clutch is really smooth. All the other gears are smooth. The suspension feels really smooth. I think it's gonna be a really nice machine. So I ordered an 02 to 05 transmission. Just gonna swap out the whole thing, upgrade that. We can call this quad saved. You guys that follow me, you know, man, I'll have this thing fixed, no problem. Yeah, one day probably, as soon as the parts come in, and it's gonna run like butter. So we took something that was literally sinking into the ground. Nobody wanted this machine. It was passed on to one person, they didn't want it, and then it was passed on to me. God only knows when the last time this thing ran was, let alone ridden. It's probably been, it has to have been 5, maybe even 10 years. And we've saved it, man. We brought it back. It is now the Stealth Raptor, also known as the ASPCA Raptor. You guys let me know in the comment section below, do you think we saved this machine? As soon as I get that transmission, we'll probably take it out onto the trails. We'll get our official Ask Dyno review of the legitimate horsepower and torque of this thing. And I'm really excited. I think it's gonna be really, really good on rough terrain, just because it's a big machine. It's got that wide stance and all. Should be pretty cool. So thank you all for being so patient and waiting for the ASPCA Raptor Finale. I appreciate all of you watching this video. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. That helps me out a ton. And if you're looking for more videos like this one, also consider hitting that subscribe button. And if you're looking to help out the channel even further, there is the option to join. All channel members get guaranteed responses to their YouTube comments. I will see you guys in the next video. Peace out.